Okay, countdown's almost ended, and here we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Dovetail Games stream. Tonight, we're going to be doing some livery designer fun and creativity in Let's Make a Livery. So you're joined by me tonight in a bit of a community fun, less formal stream. So expect maybe audio issues and more just casual chats with the community. And I can help answer any questions you have about the game or more importantly about livery designer. So I'm just going to be a bit more casual tonight and I'm going to check in the chat and see which of our locos ended up winning the poll. I believe it was the Vectron at 71%. My chat is over here, by the way, so I'm following on your comments. I don't usually host streams where I'm playing Train Sim World, so my screens are all kind of a little bit over the place. But I would ask, does my mic sound okay? Can you hear me? Is it muffled or is it the right volume? Let me know, and I'll adjust if needed. But hello, hi Adam, hi Jack. Make more Steam trains. Emma, I appreciate the suggestion. We've talked a little bit about Steam development, but in tonight we're going to be just doing some livery designer. And I believe we're not going to be focusing on a Steam train. We're going to be doing the Railpool BR Vectron. Now, I want to speak about the reason why we were doing either the F59 or the Vectron. All good. Thank you, Jack. Right volume, loud and clear. There is something important that I haven't set up in my OBS that I will now. Image, make a new image. Where is it? I have a special file to upload, and it is about the Humble Bundle. Here we go. If you haven't heard of Humble Bundle before, or if you have heard of Humble Bundle but you don't happen to know that Train Sim World is on the Humble Bundle, well, we're on Humble Bundle from now until May 3rd, I believe. Is it May 3rd? Oh gosh, I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. It is May 3rd. Okay, yes, you don't have tons of time to check this out, but what I will say is if you're on the Steam platform, so unfortunately this is not for all platforms, it is just for console. If you're on Steam, so that's PC, you can get some crazy good discounts. I mean, we're talking Train Sim World 5 starter pack, so not the standard edition. It won't come with all the 3 core routes, but you get the starter pack and Antelope Valley for $5. And $10, obviously, you can get Southeastern High Speed, a UK route, Dresden Riesa, a German route, the Railhead Treatment Train Loco, and at $15, that's all. You get the BR193 Vectron, which we'll be doing some livery designer fun on tonight. The Class 700, you get the new F59 PHR Metrolink train. You get the Santa Fe F7 and you get Cajon Pass. So What a bundle. I mean, if you haven't picked up some of this content, the bigger picture that I want to talk about with this is that it actually goes to charity, and it's in aid of Campaign Against Living Miserably, or Calm if you know them. A fantastic charity, one of the partners that we have at Dovetail Games, and we have raised money for them in the past. We've included posters of their charity in Train Sim World on the Cardiff City Network route as well. And it's a suicide prevention charity. It's obviously a really important mission, and at Dovetail we're really passionate about helping support charities that we're keen on supporting, and it's really just for a brilliant cause. So I thought I'd start with boosting the Humble Bundle. We're going to be doing some livery designer funds, don't worry. But it's a really important thing, and if you are interested, you can actually choose where your money goes in the bundle. You can donate as much as you want, and you can slide that all the way up for Calm if you wish. So it can just be a pure donation as well. So it's a really fantastic event. But yes, I'm following along in the chat again. I appreciate my chat is on this screen tonight. You know the Vectron one because it's not the one you were planning to use, right? You know, Londo Spark, that is exactly right. In fact, you couldn't be more correct. I actually already have the F59 PHR open right here in game. So I was very much expecting to be using this, but I didn't think the Vectron would have so much love. But we'll do some Vectron. I'm fine with doing some Vectron. Switch 2 news for GSW. I don't know, if I'm honest. I don't think there's nothing we've shared publicly regarding the Switch 2. Yeah, there's no news on that, Builder Barbie. Hi everyone. I have everything in a bundle other than 2 of the American bits. Yeah, I mean, obviously the bundle is relevant to what kind of content you own, but it's still a good discount. You know, if you don't own everything, or if you've not picked up Train Sim 5 yet. I always lose the fight to give a go at livery designer. Oh, you should give it a go. I've always loved jumping into livery designer. I think one of the ones I'm really proud of is I won't say the name because there's licensing reasons. So I think what did we decide to call it? It was the unbranded Happy Dragon livery. It was basically Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, but we can't officially say that. So I had a lot of fun on that, and I believe that was for this class 710, and I really enjoyed that. But yes, we're going to get into some livery designer, and the way I want to do this is a bit of fun. I want to have a bit of fun with all of you watching tonight. Actually, let me make sure I can move my screens around. I'm going to jump in, and I'll come out of the F59. And I want to have some fun. I want to make a livery with all of you, and we're going to make a bit of a mashup livery of sorts. So let's go back. I did install the Vectron. I guess some part of me always thought it was going to be used. Maybe. We're going to call this, let's make a livery community mashup. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a suggestion from chat. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes on the clock to try my best to make that. And then we'll just go for another suggestion. And we'll try and make this a bit of a, who knows what will come out at the other side. It's a shame I don't play on PC. I don't have a spare part. Yeah, it'd be fantastic if you did play on PC again. The bundle, unfortunately, is just on Steam. But we've got loads of sales for consoles that we've run recently, and there'll be more sales opportunities coming up, no doubt. So we're here in Livery Designer, and we've got the BR193 Vectron. Again, you can pick this up in the Humble Bundle if you want to take a look. But it's also a really good canvas now that I look at it. Big painterly side that we can fill with loads of fun things on. Oh god, I'm zooming in a bit too much here. So let me just open the layers, and we're just going to go to the screen here. I can zoom out a bit. I need my first suggestion from chat. So there are going to be rules. I've not written these rules anywhere. I'm just going to verbalize them a little bit. No branding. We can't officially on the Train Sim World channel make branded decisions. So I need an idea. So feel free to throw something in. You know, this could be an egg because Easter is coming up. It could be a pet. You know, it could be anything you want. I will reject ideas that I think don't make sense or aren't suitable. But the first one I see, I'll get working on, and then we'll give it 5 minutes, and then we'll go again. So let's see how it goes. Londo Spark, I think you're a person. Southern Look. I said Jackson. Jackson's Trains and Bus Adventures. I said no branding. We're not going to do any branding, even if it's safe. I'm just going to avoid all branding. So, okay, let's do a nice mountain scene. 5 minutes on the clock. It is 7:07. Let's do some mountains. Where do we want to put this? I mean, obviously, we've got a huge canvas here. So why don't we try and just start with filling out the side? And obviously I'm in Train Symbol 5 here, we're in Livery Designer. If you've never seen or used Livery Designer, this won't necessarily be a tutorial so much. It's just going to be me using the tool, but you may find some fun with what you see me working on. Now, I've also not got any references, so this is all just going to be off the top of my head, and hopefully it goes well. I mean, okay, I hate to be really basic, but we're going to start with a triangle. And I'm just going to use the WAD keys here to kind of speed this up. I know mountains don't tend to look like this in real life, but we've got to start somewhere. Now, what I like to do, and I learned this when doing my toothless livery, is I like to kind of lay the foundation in first. So obviously that mountains don't come in pure white with no texture on them, like my triangle is here, but they sometimes, I mean, sometimes if it snows really bad. But I'm just going to lay the foundation in and get the key shapes in. I can always go back and edit the layers and edit the sizings. So, you know, we're going to go with a couple of these. I mean, I think you've all seen where I'm going with this, right? You've all seen classic mountain scenery like this. I don't want to open the signs. I want to open a new shape. I'm trying to think if there's a way I can add like a bit of a mountain pass, like a bit of a winding feeling to it. Maybe I can use this shape. It's slightly different. Just going to boost this up. If we do something, let's see, I want to add a bit of perspective in here. Okay, maybe now is the right time when I'm thinking about perspective to start thinking about color. I'm going to do my best to try and read the chat as I go, but I'm also on a bit of a speed run a little bit. Easter livery, no-brainer. It could be a no-brainer. I mean, Easter is coming up. Now, I want this one to be more front-facing, but maybe I want it to be a bit in the shade. So we'll start with something like this. Let me see if I can find a decal that can help me add some lighting on the side of this mountain. I don't mind the paint streaks. That's not too bad. It adds a bit of roughness, which is always good. We've got a little bit of a scribble here. Let's see how the paint streaks go. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to give this one a bit of a rotate. So we're going to use the V and the B keys. We're going to scale. Now I need to go into the specific scales here. And now you should hopefully see why. There is so much fun you can have in Livery Designer, I really do feel. And sometimes I feel like I'm only just barely scraping the surface of what you can do. Let me go back to this menu. And we're just gonna set this in place, and hopefully you'll see what I'm doing now. If I edit the color, you can see my previous color was this, but if I just slightly lighten this, then hopefully there's like some kind of effect of like lighting on the side there. Now I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. Alex, so good, Alex. I was laughing today about how his first time driving the new Dutch line. Yeah, she was really excited about sharing that with you. She's been practicing a lot on Zwolle Groningen, and she was very excited for the stream. So I hope you played nice. Let's see, decal colors, color options. So we've got a couple mountains here. What I'm really trying to achieve is I don't really want it to get darker, but I do want it to get duller, which is, I think, when you consider mountains in the far distance, when you look, you know, if you look out your window and you look in the distance, things tend to not just get darker as they get further away, they do just tend to lose a bit of tone. It's actually making me think maybe my forward mountain is too dark. How's the time looking? We've almost out of time. Oh my gosh. I might give myself a little bit more time on this one because I want to get the achieved effect in. And so I guess I kind of imply the sun is on this side. I think that's fine. What I was hoping to do was maybe a little gradient would be nice. We have some gradient shapes. Was there a way? It's been a little while since I've been in Livery Design. Is there a way that I can apply this gradient only to the triangle? Does anyone know? It looks like the Dunelm logo. I said we were trying to avoid branding, right? Did I mention that part? Is there a way I can like snap this so that it only impacts the triangle here? I'm not sure if so. It would have to be something. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can do this, which is fine. But in that case, I'll probably just delete this layer. Now, what I wanted to do is hopefully get a track kind of winding between them. So I need another shape. I need. What am I thinking about? Again, this is all just off the whim. I'm looking for like a curling shape. I need like almost an S shape. Well, this is not terrible. I want the idea to be like this track you can see curling between the mountains. So I'd need to see it curving in and then kind of sneaking behind, and you see it in a distance. And I think that would be really good. The shape we're looking for here. So this is a bit too much of a curve. I can always bend it a little bit. This one is potentially workable. Let me try using this for a moment. It's obviously a moon shape, which isn't where you typically start. But sometimes with the Livery Designer, you've got to work with what you got. Fab Lab, the 43 is broken. When I put a livery from Creator Club, it doesn't work. And in Midland Mainline F43. Let me check with the team. It could be something wrong with the livery. Let me know what platform you're on as well. But I do know we have another update coming up soon with some fixes actually for Midland Mainline as well. So I can take a look and see where we've got to with that. Now let me. It's kind of the right effect, somewhat the right effect. If anything, I think I've gone more Christmas tree. So I need to go to white. So that's not too bad actually. That's a little bit of the effect I was hoping to get. Do I need to move it a little bit more this way? Should be thinner. I think what I'll do is I'll do it like this, because I'm worried it will look too Christmassy, and it's not a Christmas tree, and that's important. Let me get this oval in place. I think we've definitely already blown the 5-minute kind of window, but that's okay. I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. We're gonna stick this in here. It's probably a touch too big. Are there any Xbox sales planned? Sorry, UK Tag 2. The official line is that we can't confirm sales ahead of when they happen. It's a rule with platforms that we have. But what I will say is we tend to have a lot of sales all the way throughout the year. And there are various sales that are coming up. I just can't confirm what platform they're on. So just hang tight. But yeah, can't confirm anything right now, but just hold on tight, and there should hopefully be something for your platform coming soon. Now I wanted this to be a gray. Problem is, gray isn't really standing out right. Oh, this is probably just because we've got this layer that I haven't deleted yet, isn't it? Let's delete that. Okay, there we go. It's already looking. See, maybe that layer was doing a lot of work. It looks like a beautiful mountain. I really hope so. I want this to be kind of like a mountain, but there's also like a train track kind of running through it. I was really picturing was it Mittenwaldbahn? What was the mountain one recently? Well, somewhat Banana Line, but I was picturing some of the mountain scenery in Mittenwaldbahn as well, with the Mittenwald Pass. So let's get this here. I'd love to get a brick pattern on this. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to duplicate this layer. And move it just slightly upwards and to the right. And what that will allow me to do is add a bit of a different color to it. And if I play with the scale a touch, I should be able to hopefully achieve this effect. It's a little bit awkward because I'm trying to use like the wrong arrow keys. If you've ever played like inverted controls before, you should know what I mean. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. So up is that way and this is that way. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. I think it's certainly a decent attempt without a reference. My mountains are very pointy, I think, is the only feedback I'd give myself. Um, so let's move a little bit more so we can see what we're doing on these back mountains. It's okay. There's maybe more that could and should have been added. But I want this to be a proper mashup, so if we end up turning these mountains into something else, then we can. Okay, I need another idea. If you move mace more up in the mountains, so you want some snow on the mountains. Okay, I'll quickly add some snow on the mountains. I think I know a good way of doing that. There's a very classic way you can do mountain snow with triangle shapes. So where are my triangle shapes? Let's start with this. I mean, it's gonna look like a bit of a snow cone at first. But if I start with that and then I add another shape, where are we going? I don't want it on the front, I want it on the side. We add another shape and then we add some diamonds. Maybe we should rotate that a little bit. And we come and duplicate this. We can rotate that a little bit as well. The goal really here is just kind of building up something that isn't uniform, something that isn't essentially boring. You want it to be a bit interesting to look at. Okay. The snow on that one. I don't know what you're going for, but still, it's very Christmassy. Yeah, what have we done? We've done Christmas, really. It's not meant to be a Christmas tree. Okay, I need another idea, so I'm going to take a look in the chat. I can't spawn the 43 on a tab menu. I cannot select Livery on ECML either. It's every platform. It all worked before. Okay, FabLab, I appreciate you mentioning that. I'll take a look with the team on that one. Make a note. Just on my paper, but I need some ideas from the rest of you chat on what is the next thing. Spawn livery bug, but I appreciate you mentioning it. You may want to restart try it all. Let's see, a forest maybe. See, a forest is very good. We can do forest very easily. Fact, we can do forest. Let's do forest. Let's jump to the side. Okay, so we're going to do forest in a different kind of approach. So with the mountain, we very much made some bespoke things, but with the forest, we're not going to go bespoke. It's 20 past now, I'm just keeping an eye on how long we spend on each layer. What I'm actually going to do while I remember is just group everything, because it will keep it easier to control. So, we want a forest, which means we need trees. Decal options. No, I don't want to change this. I want to add a new decal shape. We're going to add a slightly wider cone. We're going to add that to this. I think we're going to add it below. Actually, no, we'll go with the same shaped cone. Can we change? Go back. We'll just duplicate, edit. We'll just do. We'll do something like this, and then we'll duplicate, and then we'll go down. I mean, we've gone very Christmassy. So I hope no one gets the wrong message. Do we need this third one? What's it really adding to the piece? Sure, we'll stick with that. I'm thinking more of a pine tree. I don't really know what trees grow on mountains. I've not really considered that much. Now I need a square, but I actually kind of want some bark textures. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, we're going to start with the basics. Let's grab a square. Okay, so we're going to go to our Y menu. We're going to shrink this. This is obviously our kind of tree trunk. Now I want to make sure that's centered, or at least as centered as it can be. That looks pretty good to me. At least good enough. Okay, now let's color in our basic parts. Now I do want these trees to stand out, So start with a much more vibrant color. Change color. Now, see, all the same color is somewhat boring, so let's change some of them. We need to reorder our layers here as well, because you need to be above arrow keys E. There we go. Yeah, I don't hate that. I think this needs to be less vibrant. Maybe not. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Obviously, our log is now kind of sticking up a bit. We need to make sure that this goes behind everything. We give it a brown color. Start with this kind of browny oranginess, and then we're going to add something I spotted down at the bottom there, which is like this kind of scratchingness. Lovely, lovely texture. We're going to add a little bit of that. We're going to add a little bit of that to the bark. And if I do it here, I can then hide it behind my other wood layers. I moved it one high there. Then we're going to take the same color and then just boost it up a bit, and then you get that kind of scratchiness feel. So that seems nice. Do we need to introduce Alex to the TTP metric of games? London Spark, I may need more clarification again. We're going to do Christmas tree livery again. I mean, I'm just taking a chat suggestion here, so this is on all of you. I will pass the blame. And maybe we need one more decal. The reason why is because we don't want this livery to feel super flat. And I think that would be a shame. Now, I could add some tinsel, I suppose. But we're trying to avoid Christmassy liveries. What do we need? I'm looking for some roughness in the leaves. Sometimes you've got to get a little bit creative with what you use. Use a drum kit. I should have downloaded some of the extra decal packs. I don't have any of those enabled right now. I'm a little worried about using the same splashes of kind of color again, but let me quickly try this. Just rotate, shift rotate a bit. Increase the size. See, this might work well. Oh, I've got a very good idea. So what we're going to do is something called ambient occlusion, which essentially is the shadows between certain layers of tree. So I'm going to start with this color of the base and then darken it. I'm going to increase the size a little bit. And when I place this on the right layer, that's the wrong layer. When I place this one on the right layer, it should hopefully somewhat kind of give you that feeling of shade. And if you do this, if we duplicate this and we move it up a bit, and then we move it up a layer as well, then hopefully you get the same effect. Let's confirm that there, and then we can just slightly tweak the color. And hopefully you get the same effect. It gives it a bit more of a 3D idea. Okay, we got a tree. We did it. We spent, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes on making a tree. Now the idea is we just give everything a big old group. So we've grouped that. Now we have the infinite power of duplication, which is very important. So I can edit this tree. I can probably shrink it to a more reasonable tree size. Got to be a little bit careful with how overboard we go. So what I'm thinking in my mind is we do a big forest here. So we can just duplicate the whole group now, and that makes it so much easier. We go for a big forest here, and then it kind of fades into that mountaininess. Now another sneaky thing we can do is that ambient occlusion trick again between the trees, but we'll do it in a different way. So I'll show you how I plan to do that. But the idea would be every big tree in the back kind of needs to be correctly layered. So I'm going to try and make a note to keep that in mind. If we keep placing some of the smaller trees in the front, and then we'll work on the back afterwards. And then we can add essentially like a dark fill layer. In fact, I may as well stick that in now. If we get the shapes, and I think this gradient is going to be our best friend here. We confirm this, give this a rotation. Now we're going to do a lot of scaling on this. Boost this up. And we might want to consider a color for this vectron as well. But maybe we think about that after we finished doing the livery bits that we want on it. So I'm just going to pull this down a bit. Don't want it to be excessive. And I don't need it to be fully transparent, but what I want it to do is be a bit of a divide between our layers. So now that we got this, if I now shift this up, you can see, you know, if I shift that down, it makes those foreground trees just that little bit brighter. And it just gives you that the idea that they're actually closer, and it makes the distinction between the back trees more obvious. And obviously, because it's just a layer, I can make this lighter and darker and actually make that difference more obvious. So I think I might do something like this for now. I think that's good. I will also play with the scale just a touch because it doesn't quite go to the end that I want it to. And there we go. So now everything above that layer is in the back and everything behind that layer is in the front. Makes it easy for us to continue our trees. And then we'll quickly move on to the next idea. I suppose this prompt was officially it was called just a forest. But let's do this. I was going to blend it a little bit more into the mountains, but maybe just in the interest of having multiple things included on the prompt, maybe I won't. So we can have multiple things and we can make a proper mashup. I think this is actually should be here, but this tree should definitely be. Actually, this one should be up too. And I need to edit this, boost the scale just to cover all the trees. Okay, and obviously there's a bit of a very obvious divide here, but we can fix that later. I'm not concerned, I'm not worried about that. Where's our really big tree? Let's duplicate you a couple times. I think hopefully that's got the idea of this pine forest across fairly quickly. Again, we're using Livery Designer here in Train Simulator 5. It's a tool with its niches, but once you know some of the techniques, it's a very fun tool. And I've not even played with the size of each of these trees. You know, I've very much just copy and pasted them. But you could tweak the thickness. You can change the group thickness as well. Okay, how about we call that a forest? I'm too quiet. I apologize. I will make sure to keep speaking. I got very much in the tree zone there. Okay. Can you add points like lights? Pretty good. Specify. Let's see some more ideas. Well, so good. Even better than my libraries. Oh, no way. I'm sure everyone here, you know, if you play around with Livery Designer and you sit in here for hours, you'll have loads of fun. Southwest, you were the one who specified trees in a forest, so I'm gonna give someone else a chance to have an idea. I need a new prompt for us to add into this. So we've got a bit of a mountain railway. I feel like the mountains aren't really complete, but maybe there's more we can add there. We've got a forest. I'm liking the idea of a city, but I'll see if anyone else has any suggestions they want to bring in. But I do like the idea. Hunter Karapi, if more US locos had to be put on a roadmap, you would pick the SC44, the LC42, the NGTD Arrow 3. They all sound great. I must admit, I don't know a lot of these. Let me take a quick look while we wait for some more comments. The SC44, I really love the color of blue on that, if that's the one you're thinking of. Let me catch up on some of the chat as well. Yeah, we should probably try and stray away from Christmassy themes. So I'm gonna the next suggestion can't be Christmassy themed. Um, okay, what else did we have? Do a locomotive number. Foxes. Foxes we can do. Do I have the cheat code for the fox icon? I'm not sure if I do. I may do. Let's see. There, haha, I've done it. I've done a super detailed fox immediately. How quick was that? No, this was one of this is what I meant by the cheat code. There are some images we have preloaded into, obviously, Livery Designer. We have lots of flags. We have different like emoticons, like you've got sunny, weather. You've obviously got trans pride, you've got pride as well. You've got foxes, you've got autism awareness logos, loads of really cool ones. You've also got some referencing some of our other games. You've got some of the pieces from Catan, such as sheep, wood. You've got the dice. You've got the Freddy Google emoji in there, and of course you've got the foxes. And we can't do Santa Claus Southwest. We can't. But I tell you what, I mean, I can very easily just add a couple foxes, just sitting around. How big relatively should this forest be? And a bigger question is, do foxes live in trees? I'm not sure. Maybe we'll do a couple foxes though. Hate for them to be alone. Can I flip these? Let's see. If I over shear something or if I overscale it, does it flip? It's not. No worries. We will just do two foxes sat next to each other in the forest. Yeah, they live high up in trees like owls. Is that really true? I'm not 100% sure if that's true. But then again, right now I don't have any reason not to believe you. So we'll put a fox in its nest, I guess, in the tree. I'm assuming if they live in similar homes to owls, then I guess they would live in nests as well. So let me just create a little fox nest. Decal over here. This can be its little nest. We can scale that a bit vertically, which is good. Change the color. I think nests are kind of like that twiggy color, right? So we'll make them the same kind of color wood that you get. We'll duplicate it and get a bit of color differentiation in there. Okay, we need some more ideas. There you go. You got a fox nest. I think that's where they live. Add a bird, that'd be cool. Yes, we can do some birds. That's a very good one. Cork commuter, they could experiment with larger track gauges. If you have a suggestion, feel free to throw it in the suggestions form. That looks pretty ugly. I hope you mean not the fox. Because the fox in its nest is very much not ugly. Okay, let's do some birds. Let me take a little look at distant birds, because I really hate the standard V shape you get. It's very typical. I would love to do a bit more of a proper silhouette. I quite like this one, so let's go for this shape. So again, if we're making a repeatable shape in Livery Designer, it's best to think about exactly what we need and then build that up. So I'm looking for kind of like a semicircle shape. I might have to construct the shape myself. So let's start building the design we need. So I'm gonna build two wings here. So I'm gonna build this kind of shape. Then we're gonna make a square. Okay. I'm gonna slightly scale the square here to match. If I hold control while doing this, I can actually scale it much slower, which gives me some more fine controls, which is always nice. Okay, we're gonna start with this kind of shape. I think it looks a little weird right now, but trust me, there's a vision, don't worry. Now I'm going to combine both of these. In fact, actually, let me quickly just merge all of the previous bits into a group as well as we go. So it'll make it much easier for us. Okay, so we've got these two. We're going to group them. And the reason why we're going to group them is so we can duplicate them. So if we duplicate, we can actually remove the group. And that way I don't have to remake those two shapes. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to edit this shape specifically and move it along this way and rotate it. Annoyingly, my UI is in the way, so let me shift that. Okay, and we just need to match a kind of thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you move objects to a certain size, it doesn't really matter anyway. So now we've got 4 objects, and you're probably thinking, well, where are we going with this? We group these two and we shift them. Now that the image becomes a little clearer. So I'm going to do a couple techniques here. One, I'm going to shear this shape, and it's kind of like a rotation, but also it kind of merges it a bit and kind of deforms it, and that's really good for variation. And then we're going to shrink it again, and again that's going to create more of a shear. And I think I kind of want this shape. I'm just playing around with the 2 axes here, and this is a good shape that I'm happy with. And then we can unmerge that. It's fine. I mean ungroup, sorry. And then we're going to group these two. And well, before we edit, we're just going to move. Do the same again. We're going to turn it. We're going to go to the next tab. We're going to shear this a little bit. I kind of want to shear it in the opposite way, and I'm fine if this is a slightly bigger object. And I hope you're getting the picture slowly. If not, don't worry. It should hopefully make itself pretty clear soon enough. So I'm going to do that. Right, and then we're almost there in terms of the general layout. In fact, I can probably start coloring these now. I'm going to go with a very dark maroon. These are going to be birds quite far in a distance, but obviously birds are still bird colored. As a base, go back, and then we need this one. And then we're going to add a new shape, and this is going to be the belly of the bird. So we need kind of an oval. Is that correct? We'll go with this one. This is perfect. And we'll change color as well. Let's get this into place. Let's move. And let's rotate. Let's increase the size. And I think the bird that I'm actually referencing in this is a swallow. Because once I've put this shape in place, we're then going to do 2 very pointy triangles. And I think I probably could get away with just using a triangle. Maybe they'll use the curvy triangle. It won't really make a difference, but I think it makes a little bit more sense to use the pointy triangle. So let's go to this menu, make it really pointy triangle, and I'll be using a control here just to get a bit of a finer action on it. Let's rotate it round and round and round. I've ended up shearing it a little bit, but that's fine. Rotate it around. Let's shrink the size. And it's kind of, using my reference, kind of this shape. Change the color. Duplicate, edit. Oh, we grabbed the wrong piece. How did we grab the wrong piece there? We'll duplicate, we'll edit, and then we'll just slightly rotate. And there we have it. We have a swallow like shape. In fact, it will be a little bit more obvious if I just add one more triangle as the beak. I think that will be good. So let's get that over. It's a bit of a large beak. But if I can just shrink this, slightly rotate it, push it a bit forward. I think I need to slightly shrink and move it. And there we go. Perfect position. we have a bird-shaped object. To some, it may not look like a bird, though. It's just slightly better than a V, and it takes a hell of a lot longer. Now, obviously, it's way too big. So we can now that we've created our master grouping, we can now kind of, I hope it doesn't look like a plane. It's definitely, you know, when they say, is it a bird, is it a plane? In this case, it is definitely a bird. We can do a couple of these around our painting. I say painting, around our livery, but it is essentially a painting. We're in livery design. I think I'm expanding too quickly. Let's duplicate a couple more. And I said we'd come back to the mountains. I think this is the right thing to come back with. So I've been looking at Pitch the Birds on my side, but I haven't been looking at the chat. So let's see, bird, I made a livery. How do I use it? Okay, I can actually show that with our livery we're using here. You use the tab menu, and then you go to, when you spawn your train, there's obviously a section of the train where you can select liveries, but you've got to save your livery first, and you've got to make sure it's toggled on. But I can demonstrate that on the Stream Fab Lab, so I can help show you that. Roblox Let's Play, it's kind of based off of World War II plane. I am worried that the wings have become a little less pointy and a little bit more World War II plane than originally predicted. But it's okay. It's okay. They're birds. They're birds. Okay. Right. A Christmas bird. Foxes do live in trees. Do they live in nests? Is another question now. We are making a livery on the Vectron. Foxes don't live in trees. Foxes do. Well, I don't know. There seems to be some confusion of whether they do or don't. I need another idea. So we've got a forest, we've got trees, we've got this kind of dark cloud around the forest. So throw your ideas in the chat, but I'm going to try and address this kind of darkness the forest seems to have picked up. I'm going to see if I can play around with some of the movement of this and try and make it a little less dark. I think the easiest solution would be if I just make it wider and I bring it up to the mountain. And then I actually take the entire mountain group and move that in front of all of the trees. Then that will disguise the darkness there. Add a camp or the sun. I really like the idea of a camp, actually. I think this can help flesh out our mountain scenery that we've been building on together. So I think a lovely smoke trail would be nice. Okay, let's go for a camp, and I'll make it a bit of a wispy, smoky kind of flame rising off into the side here. And again, that kind of helps draw the eye of the piece up to the birds, which will be really fun. Let's go for a camp. That is a great idea. Roblox Let's Play, thank you for sharing. So let's start with the smoke, because I think ultimately the key part of what I'm trying to do here is involves the smoke. So let's start with this kind of color, this kind of shape. I think this is going to be a very stylized smoke, which I'm kind of looking forward to making. We're going to try and make it very, very wispy and very fun. And hopefully this will be a really quick one as well. We're gonna try and create a pattern that we can aim to repeat a few times. In a similar way to what we did with the trees, but a bit more with smoke now. What I'm going to do is actually change the color of each of these pieces in the smokestack, so that when we end up duplicating this a couple times, then it adds a lot of variance. So let's see how it turns out. I think that's the thing with Livery Designer, and that's the thing about just like kind of having fun and making creative things in general. Have a go, and if it doesn't work, then that's okay. And I think maybe this isn't quite the kind of smoke I was hoping for. So, you know, I'm already learning a little bit about maybe this isn't quite what I want. and that's okay. I'm going to ungroup, and I think the issue here is the piece that I've colored in white is too obviously light, and it's kind of distracting me about the shape I'm trying to make. So I need to go back to my group here, and this is the one. There we go. So I don't mind that slight color variation. I think that's really good. Now I can actually duplicate a whole lot more of these. So let's group, let's duplicate, and let's go again. And I will be slowly increasing the size as well. But I do want this to be quite a decent amount of movement to the smoke. So maybe the size. Maybe I just need to be careful about how much I duplicate in one go. Which one is this one? I want to find the one. There we go. I don't want this one that's sticking out. I don't think I want this one either. But we've got a bit of a smokestack here, and we'll keep building it. I'm going to add a few more manual pieces in. I think it needs a little bit of consideration as we get to the top in terms of the flow. So we'll make this section really pop. We'll really pop it out this side, and then we'll duplicate it again and really push it the other side as well. We can then add some colors on top of this too, which will be fun. I'm trying to read the chat as well. Smoke. Yes, we're adding a camp. Actually, I believe the prompt was add a camp, but I've kind of gone with campfire. Kind of taken it a little bit in my own interpretation. But what I'm going to do is then add like a little bit of a visible campfire at the bottom. So that's why there's smoke. There's nothing's burning down. It's more just the effect we're making here. And actually, I don't mind that this has become it's kind of become a bit lighter as you go up in the into the atmosphere. So I don't actually mind making it a bit lighter there as well. So that's kind of the effect I wanted to achieve. Again, I'm not spending hours and hours on each of these designs, and I'm not following a reference, so I'm kind of winging this a little bit. But that's the fun. It's the fun of livery design and getting creative. So we need a bit of a campfire. Interestingly, we can take our, where is our image? We can just take our logs here. But I won't do that because I feel like that's cheating. So I'm just going to go with the shape. We'll get in a little triangle. I think this is the perfect use of this wider shape. We'll change it to be kind of like that, kind of campfire brown. And we'll put it just at the base here. And what we can do is we can actually add, and maybe it's perfect that we've got some triangle shapes and a couple of tents. Although every tent I've ever seen is never just a triangle. It's always usually like kind of two triangles. Let's see. I don't want it to look super basic. And the other thing is that we've got these triangle shapes with the mountains already. So it'd be a shame to not give our tents a little bit of a nice shape to them. So what if I just duplicate this? Oh, that's the smokestack. No, we don't need that. Is that still... I'll delete that for now. We'll duplicate the tent I've got. And I'm going to just slightly make it smaller. And then I'm going to add another shape. And that should be a... What am I looking for? I'm looking for the moon shape again. But maybe slightly shallower than that. I might have to work with what I've got available. I just want a really subtle curve. Maybe we have to work with the moon shape again. Let's try it and see if it works. But I'm just looking for a really subtle curve. So let me rotate this. And it's kind of giving me that effect. So let's just scale it in the right direction. It's a little bit sharp. It's also a little bit hard to see because we're quite zoomed out. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take it because it's small enough. We'll go with a nice bright color. So why don't I just randomly pick this blue and see how that works? And we'll just pick the same blue. We'll pick the same blue again. There we go. We got a 10. When is the next patch on Train Sim 5? Very soon, actually. So we've just shared a recent update. Internally, that update was one of our, I believe it was our 14th update since we launched Train Sim 5. At the moment, we just name these updates based on the release date they come out. But the next one is coming along. I did mention briefly, very briefly earlier, we've got some Midland mainland changes. I believe that are trying to make it into this update. We may have some PC editor improvements coming into this update. We haven't confirmed the list yet, so come back to me on that question if the update isn't out by the time we have our May roadmap coming up. But there is an update and it is coming soon. Would be a finishing touch, add birds next to those trees on the right. You think the trees need some birds? Okay, we can do that. Wood huts or houses in the forest section of the Vectron. That's a good idea. Stick a squirrel in there with some nuts. A squirrel will be really difficult to make. The train team, I love the mounds. Well, I'm really glad you love the mounds. Thank you. It was something that we started with, and I think we've really fleshed them out. What do we think should go here? We've built up a lovely scene, but we're missing something in this section. So we've got the forest, we've got the mountains. What goes here? Let me know what you think, and I'll add that in. But someone did say, can we have where was it? Some birds in the forest section. Yes, we can do that. Let's go for some birds. Should be very easy for me to do. Let's see. These two are the birds we've got up here. So let's duplicate this. And we'll move it over there for now, and then we'll follow it along. Grab some birds in the forest section. We'll do 2 or 3. There we go. We can have it coming just in front of the trees actually as well, which is quite fun. Oh, JP, a river. We need some happy little clouds, a river. So how are we going to turn our very kind of sideways looking scene to show a river? Maybe a waterfall that I would suggest. Let me know, JP, if you like that idea. I'm just thinking like sideways on. We're very much taking a sideways approach. I mean, don't get me wrong. The scale of this forest and the mountains are not realistic. I mean, we've got foxes that are seemingly a 1/6 of the size of an entire mountain here. So you know, we've got foxes that are maybe twice the size of a campfire tent. So these are potentially 15-meter tall foxes. Guess a waterfall could work. Yeah, it just makes potentially a chance for us to kind of build up to at the side here. Where's the dinosaur? Neo Napalm? Good question. We can add a dinosaur, but let's work on a waterfall first. So I'm gonna group these bits, and then we'll push to the right. We need some kind of rocky terrain. And we need a good shape to start with for rocky terrain. Sometimes it's just about grabbing any shape. Sometimes you can think too hard about what you need. Now I have done a waterfall before, so I kind of know what I'd like to achieve. The last waterfall I did was on the dragon livery. And the way I did that was very much using these kind of like rock hexagonal shapes. The reason I did it like this is so that I could build up kind of a boulder. Now, I could go with the try and tested method, as I'm doing, but I think I might introduce a couple new shapes as well. So we're going to duplicate this one as well. I'm going to move this here. So if I start with some basic shapes, I think we build up what we want on top of that. So let's get some new shapes. Let's try something a bit different that we didn't do last time. We use a shield. Maybe the shield could be good. We could just use a piece of the train, the drums. I'm not loving these splat symbols. It doesn't really give me rock. I think you do need a sturdy shape. I think this is where you've got to get really creative. What I need, actually, to be honest, why don't we start with the water and then see what's missing? Which could be fine. Now, water is very different, and actually we can go for a couple of those weird paint shapes. We've actually got this weird one here. Let me try using this. Kind of like a ribbon, a snaky ribbon shape. And it might actually allow us to kind of do what we want. Let's go scaling it. And let's make it a very vibrant blue, just so we can kind of understand the color right away. Okay, we're laying in the foundation of the water. This is called banner horizontal, so it's definitely meant to be a banner of some description. Maybe a little village. Oh, we definitely can make room for a little village, actually, just on the other side of the river. Let's boost this up. And I'm purposely letting that kind of fall off the edge of the vectron there. Because if I make another one, then it allows me to have a little bit more control where it ends. I mean, right now it looks like there's just a river that runs straight into our campfire, which is kind of funny. And you know what? While we're not making this a super serious livery. We're not entering any competitions with it. Then I don't mind that. If it's a bit silly, then that's okay. So we're kind of defining the flow of the river. Again, I've taken river very loosely because we needed to be able to build upwards, but I've still got a bit of a river. And actually, I've already got an idea of how we can do the village. So who suggested village? Hunter. It's a good idea. I know exactly what I want to do with that, which we'll work on next. So that's my river flow at the moment. Now, you may ask, this is the saddest looking river you've seen in a little while, and that's okay. I think that's feedback. Now, if I grab this rock, shift it down, where have I just put you? Now I can kind of play with some of the other shapes. So I think I'll stick with my plan of having these kind of octagonal, I think these septagons, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they are septagons. Septagonal shapes. It's just really fun to use this shape, and there's a lot you can do with it. Now I need to change. Where is? I need to open the river up again. Which one is this? You need to be much wider, and that way the river can have a bit of depth to it too. Okay. Duplicate this, we'll move it around, do a bit of a rotation and get some angles in there, change the color a little bit, and we're almost there. There's a big rock. Here's our big one. Let's move a duplicate of this further back. And we'll just call it, we'll call it there in terms of the rocks. So where is our front and foremost one? We duplicate this. We don't want this to feel like it's just floating there randomly. I think what I'll do is I'll do something like this. We keep this here. And then I'll make a duplicate of this. And then we can move that into this gap. Make it smaller, give it a rotate, the usual, and then we can make it a little bit lighter as well. Okay, we have a mountain, we have a river. The river is in. What is the noise in your room? It's probably just my keyboard you can hear. Apologies. Hopefully it's not being picked up too much. Maybe the little village. So I'm gonna add that village in here. And the way I'm gonna do that is actually using the river. So I think they can go hand in hand. So let me group all this. So we've saved it and we've banked it. And we're going to add in a water wheel. Now I'm going to double check. Water wheels are just essentially gears, aren't they? Let me make sure I'm making this correctly. Yes, yeah, they're like gears with flaps on the end. They're kind of like a pirate steering wheel. In that case, I want to start with an empty circle. And we'll put that in our water here. I think that'll be really fun. That looks okay. Hand symbol, very nice. We can add the Train Some More 5 logo in. I mean, again, I'm gonna just show you a lovely tip. Oh, we have the Calm logo in. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna put this in right away. I was thinking about recreating this, but I actually forgot that we already have it in. And you know what? I don't even know how we've achieved this. Well, it's with the help of all of your suggestions. But what we've got is a really calm, lovely scene. And actually, this kind of plays into the whole message of calm. So you know what? We've done well. We've done very well. Let me put this kind of right in this top corner there. And you've got kind of campaigning is living miserably. So we've got the river. We're going to put the house in here, which will fill this up. You've got the mountain scene. We've got the forest. Maybe there's some room for something to go in the back here, but we've got something. This is really coming together, and I'm really excited. So where were we at? We were making the water wheel. So I'm going to switch over to my water wheel. I mean, you've got to basically make a bit of a bike wheel. Now, how do you do that? What's the easiest way to make a bike wheel? Probably with sticks. Where is my stick? You know what? I think we're going old school with this one. I think we're just going to do it ourselves. So if we scale this inwards, we're going to scale inwards to here. And I appreciate it's a little bit hard to see, but there is a benefit to me doing this. Oh, is there? No, I'll just move it over here. I was going to suggest it's easier for me to do it actually where the middle is, but actually it's not too bad. So we're gonna I'm gonna hold control just so I have a bit of fine control on this. And actually, I think the circle is the right thing for the wheel. What I'll probably end up doing, what I'll probably just do now, is I'll add another circle anyway. Because I think the circle we've got over there is just too thin, and I don't want it to be that thin. So this might be the kind of idea I'd go for. Let's move this to the bottom and let's change the color. Let me check this is on top. It is on top. Good. We'll go for this kind of woody color. Duplicate, and now we just do the fun game of duplicate and rotate, duplicate and rotate, duplicate and rotate. And we build up a bit of a wheel. How many spokes should we go for? I think 8 would look too empty, so maybe we go for 12. So go for 1 there. I'm trying to think about like how do you usually cut a pizza, right? You know, when you cut a pizza and it's everyone loves to go for the standard a number of cuts on a pizza, but sometimes the pizza is just too big, and sometimes that means you've got 3 cuts on one side and 4 on the other. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just how it is sometimes. Even if you've done your best to cut it as evenly as you can, pizza's still pizza at the end of the day. So there we go. We got a water wheel there. I'm gonna make the base of this water wheel. I'm gonna take our wood color, but then I'm gonna make it darker because I don't want that to ruin the spokes. And I think the spokes are an important part. And we're gonna take the edge color and we'll make it maybe the same. Yeah, we'll go for the same. So we've got a water wheel. Well, maybe we're missing the this kind of shape. So if I make this, we're gonna move this over here. Okay, and then I also need to make a square, and then we're gonna move that over there as well. And again, sometimes I'm putting stuff behind my screen. When you use Livery Designer, you kind of tend to get a little bit used to the nuances of using the tool. But for now, I'm just going to put the square over here, and I'm going to put, where's my semicircle? The reason I want to do this is because I probably didn't need a semicircle, but I'll take it anyway. It's because I'm going to take this, I'm going to make it actually a touch lighter, just a touch lighter, and then I'll take my square, and I will make it a touch. There we go. That looks like it's in the right place. It's the right color. It's the right place. And the only issue I have now, though, is that unfortunately our river is behind it. There we go. Do we like this change? I'm not sure. Can you make the background blue like sky? Yes, I can do that. This is looking cool. Nick, great to see you. Thanks for joining. Ooh, I keep tapping out and in. Let's go back actually, and change the color of the logo to be a very light blue sky. And I don't think that messes up anything of our plans. Let's look at the layers again on the side. And hey, would you look at that? I mean, it's not too bad. The water wheel looks a little too high. Actually, yeah, you're right. I don't know how I didn't notice that. JP, you're very right. Let me fix this. So let me just group everything in the wheel. And this is why the grouping technique I mentioned earlier was really good, because I can just fix that right away. Good. Right, now I know this is a bit of a long detour to say village is what we were getting at. Because I was going to add the water wheel on the side of a house, which is where I was getting to. So I kind of want a woody barn. Ooh. There is a great way I could try and go about doing this, and I think it involves the 3-panel piece here. Now this is going to be big brain, I think. Follow along. We've got the 3 lines here. We're going to change them to be like this little bit of a, I want somewhere between the wood and the red gray we have. It'll probably be about this. Maybe it needs to be a bit like this. Okay, we're going to take this. We're then going to duplicate it. Have I duplicated the wrong thing? Yes, I have. We're going to take this, we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to shift it into the gap of the previous one. And now there's slight gaps, but maybe that's good. Maybe that's a good thing. And then we're going to change the color a little bit. And you know what, actually, I'm going to overlay it a touch on the previous one. Again, we're going to duplicate it, we're going to move it, and then I'm going to do the same again. Now, actually, maybe I'm suddenly not loving that. The idea was to create these panels, and actually, there we go. We ended up creating a somewhat repeating panel, but maybe we went too drastic on the color difference. Okay, it's not horrible. I don't mind it. We're going to merge these few. And again, we've always talked about it being an experimental process. We're going to move this up above the water wheel. And actually, this needs to be much smaller and much taller. That looks okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of these. So we're going to do one there. We'll move it across. We'll do one here. Move it across. We'll do one here. Okay, hopefully this is making some sense in a moment. We're going to make a rectangle. And again, everything you've got to think about is we're looking at the side on. And that's important. Because what does a house look like if you're looking at it exactly side on? And more importantly, what does a house roof look like? It kind of looks like, hopefully, a little bit like this. And I want this roof to stand out, so I'm going to go for a darker roof. And then we can... Well, maybe we should look at how we color this now. I do want a bit of a tiled pattern on it. I'm back and it's looking great. Adam, welcome back. And I agree, this is looking great. We've done a really good job of bringing something together here. Can you make the background blue like sky? Yes, I think the sky background was a really good change. Someone did ask for clouds a while back, so I'm gonna look. I'm gonna come back to that idea of clouds. Right now, I would like to think about the tiles. Oh, I think a gradient would go so well here. Let's add the gradient first, and then I want to think about how we do tiles on this roof. Is there a decal I can add? Some easy tiling. Potentially I could use this. Or potentially I could use this. I just want some kind of pattern that would be nice. Let's think. I was originally thinking this is kind of like a slated roof. And so what I'm looking for is kind of like the end of a slate. Like I don't need there to be a square tile, but I need there to be some kind of rugged cut underneath. You know, you get that kind of shearing pattern at the bottom of slate. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that quite the way I want. There is a few grunge maps. Ooh, but actually there's a bit of ooze and a little bit of slime. It sounds a little bit weird, but this would go very well on our barn. And I've just only realized that, you know, we asked for a village, and to be honest, we're only really going to get like a small barn, but that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan, and that's okay. So I'm actually going to turn down the opacity of this, make it darker, and then I've got to be very careful where this layer goes. This needs to go behind the roof and behind the wheel, but in front of the wood. Yeah. Is that what we want? Do we want slime? I'm not sure now. I've added it in. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, not sure if I want slime. Now this needs to go in front of the roof, which is currently on our lower layer. And again, we'll darken this, or maybe we play with it a little bit. We need to move it into place first to really see what effect it's having. Okay. Let's expand it this way. And actually what this effect kind of gives you the idea of, and I'll try and zoom in a moment, is it gives you the idea of a curved surface. So something that very much isn't flat. And if I actually give this a bit of color, not red, but like a deeper orange, it gives you the idea that this is actually curving forward to the camera, and I really like that. So I'm really glad that we added this gradient. I'm just going to slightly increase the size. There we go. Okay, it's not perfect, but that's okay. Now we have got paint drips in here. Not sure I'm loving this. But then it's in front of the water wheel, which is a problem. There we go. And now if I turn down the opacity, yeah, I'm still not sure I'm loving this. I don't know. For the time being, I may leave it. If I just shrink it. time being, I may just leave it because actually I don't mind that it gives a bit of a shadow there. But yeah. Bye everyone, have a great video. Thank you for joining us, Nikita. Have a good evening. We're gonna duplicate these two. We're gonna group, duplicate, and then edit, and then move. And then we can scale, and we will be scaling this to fit on this part. And there we go. So we've got a, oh, I just realized the water wheel needs to come in front of this roof. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no. There we go. So we have a house, we have a water wheel, we have a campfire, and now the tent looks ridiculously small, which is really funny. And I will definitely increase the size of the tent. I tell you what, let's go back to the campfire. I think now we're doing some final touch-ups. Where's the tent? You need to be bigger. So let's, I can actually increase the size of both at the same time. And that's fine, and I think that's okay. And what I'm actually going to do around this layer is add, I need a rocky kind of shape, something. I just need a single rocky shape. We used the hexagons before. I think I won't use the hexagons again. I'll use this dashing kind of color. The reason why is because I'm going to put this on a bit of sand, essentially, or at least try to give the feeling of sand. Change of color. We'll go to a nice yellow. We'll go to a nice sandy gray yellow. I've personally never seen sand below a mountain next to a river before. But, if I did, it would make me calm, and that's the big thing. Okay, I think I need the sand to be much higher up on our layer stack. I need the tent to sit on top of the sand, so let's keep going. Interesting. Why is the sand? Where's the tent? It's below the birds. Yes. There we go. Found it. We've got quite a lot of layers now, actually. I'm just trying to think about that as well. Let's put that there. So, okay, we've got a tent on the sand, we got a smoke, we got a river, we got trees, we got forest. I think we're almost there. I think someone did suggest some happy clouds, and you know what? I think we're due a couple happy clouds as well. Let's make the really cute kind of puffy ones. Let's see, what can we use? Let's go for some teardrop starting shapes. It's always good. It's always a good starting kind of shape, I think. So I'm going to start with this shape, then we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to. Ooh, I've gone into a menu I don't want to be in right now. We're going to rotate this around and make kind of like this shape. We're going to duplicate it again and again, and we're going to rotate you around and make kind of this shape. I need to be a little bit more cautious on my speed, and then can we come into this? So this is my take on Happy Cloud. Go to Y, increase the scale. That's my take on a very quick Happy Cloud. So let's edit this and make a couple of these. And I could do a couple, if I do a foreground cloud, then obviously I would like there to be a certain level of depth, so I can do that a little bit with some gray colors. Nothing wrong with a little bit of gray. Change the color, and hopefully you're getting some of the picture we had in mind here. These clouds are maybe a touch big. I think it's not terrible, but I'll make some small ones as well. I think the house has turned into a watermill. Yes, they did. The house looked kind of big. Yeah, I mean, everything looks a little stylized. But I think if you're looking at the Vectron whizzing past, um, I think it's fine if the houses are a little bit big. I'd want them to be seen. Um, we're definitely exaggerating a few things. Let's move. Let's duplicate this again. We can always do one behind the mountains, which would be really fun. Which should hopefully give the mountains a sense of scale too, which would be good. But if I'm going to do that, you know, we have to move this all the way up. So the one thing I've not really been working to is the layer ordering. So everything at the top is your lower level, and everything you build up on top of that kind of builds and builds and builds. So now that I've moved the cloud to the back, to the top of my layer stack, it moves it to the back of my scene. Makes it much easier for me to come in and just move them around. I did make a gray cloud, so let me regroup these. And I'll do a couple gray clouds. Throw them at the top of my scene. And I think we're almost wrapping up here. We can duplicate everything we've got on the other side, which is always good. Let's duplicate this and move you. Let's put you, again, we'll do a couple other clouds. We've got some, if we place it here, then we've got some birds in front of the clouds, which is really nice as well. Need to see where I'm going with this one. Sometimes just thinking about how we can help boost our other elements in a scene is really important. So if I place the clouds here again, it really helps highlight the birds a bit more. Wow, I am really happy with this scene. I mean, I don't know why there's a fox in the tree, but it's kind of the story of the live stream so far. Now, these mountains were meant to be a bit of a railway on them. That was the intention, at least. I would like to consider how I can come back to this just briefly. Now, what does a mountainside railway? What does it really look like? What am I hoping to achieve? It's those kind of like U-shaped bridges that end up sticking on the side of the mountain. Obviously, you've got some stone sheer cliffs as well. But it's this kind of U-shapes, and I think that's kind of what I would like to achieve. So let's see if I can quickly do that. Got a gray here. Let's see if that's something I can achieve fairly quickly. Maybe this, I don't know if this piece is going to give me quite what I want. Maybe it needs to be below the mountain. I think I need to ungroup the mountain for me to be able to do this correctly. So let's drop this just where the campfire is. Let's find where our mountain tile is. Okay, it's just there. Need to come up above the birds. And again, we're starting to see some of the difficulties when you have many layers going all at once, and that's just the nature of using Livery Designer. But there are obviously some things we can do to help ourselves here, and grouping is a key one. So okay, we've got one of these shapes. And let me just do this a couple times and see if I'm able to kind of build the idea of what I want from this. Again, my idea here is to kind of make it that very clear that it's kind of a mountain railway. But I think I need a bit more stone potentially on this mountain. So why don't I do this for a couple more attempts? Which one is this? And then we look to add a little bit of a stone fall off on the side. And actually what I can do is I can thin this one too. Really push that sense of everything kind of pushing to one side. Now let me add a new shape. We need some kind of runoff, some kind of stone. Do I go back to the Septagons? Okay, we're going back to the Septagons for stone. It just, I don't know why, but the shape for me just, it works. It's a really good shape to use. Let's come up, you know, layer stack. And we want this to be underneath where we previously were. Let's make it actually a slightly brownier stone, because obviously you get mud, you get dirt, all these kind of things. And what I'm trying to really kind of spell with this is the idea that there is a railway here, and actually like this path across it is exploring that railway. If I just increase the size here, what is the effect we get? Because I don't overly hate where this direction is coming from. I think this is quite nice. I think it just needs a little bit of touching up, which is fine. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that I'm able to execute this the way I want to. What can help with this? I'm trying to look at some pictures of mountain railways. Maybe a couple trees would be a nice addition here. Maybe just 1 or 2 trees. Snowdon Mountain. They really just put a train track on top of a mountain and called it a day. Why don't we pinch a tree then? Let's see if we can get this to go where we want it to. We need this to now be in front of some of the rocks we put, but maybe behind this. We'll obviously make this much smaller. We need this in front of the rails as well, so we'll bring this here. Let's see. I mean, ultimately, we don't have to be right on this. We don't have to be, it doesn't have to be perfect. But it's just meant to give the feeling a little bit that there's more going on. And maybe what we're missing actually is a little bit of color variation. So if I make this a little bit more, maybe even honestly a little bit more greenery. Which layer are we on? We want this to be front. Then if we increase the size of this, we've probably gone a bit too green with this one. So let's go back to that color selector. And again, sometimes it's not always about being perfect. It's just about enjoying what you're doing. And telling a story. And the story is, there is a mountain here. Let's share this if we can. Lovely. Yeah, lovely. Okay. And I think maybe we've started to make that picture clearer. What do we think? What do we think? Oh, I think maybe what if all we're missing is just a little bit of that ambient occlusion? Can I get this to work? Let's see. What layer are we on? Down at the bottom. Let's move this. Let's make sure we shrink it to just be impacting kind of this area. Okay. Let's make it a darker color. Let's make it a faded color, and let's move it just below these kind of lips, but for the trees. And actually, there we go. Haven't we got a slight little bit of shading happening underneath underneath this section? Do we bother boosting this up? I think we can keep it focused just to the tunnels. Okay, we've got a very slight hint of it. I'm not saying it's perfect. But there we go. I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try and ungroup everything. And there is a reason for this, and I'm pretty sure I may be wrong, but the reason why I'm going to ungroup absolutely everything is because I think when I was doing my previous liveries, this is the best way to get it to the other side. Now, I may be wrong, and there's quite a lot of groups to go through here. I think I've almost got them all. But if I'm right, then it means it saves us a lot of work. So we ungroup this. Almost there. There can't be that many trees. Okay, let's ungroup, let's ungroup, let's ungroup, let's ungroup, let's ungroup. And now we select everything. How many layers have we used? We've used 310 layers. And we've been live for about an hour and a half. So it's a really good stream. I'm going to just try and select everything. Is there an easier way to select? I'm not sure. So we're just going to click through. And while we click through, I'll talk about Calm, because I think what this livery has very quickly become is a very good message for Calm. And Calm is a suicide prevention charity, and obviously suicide is a very important topic, but more importantly, is a reason to talk about it. And I've just realized there's a group that I didn't grab in there. Is that the only one? Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to make sure we get that group. I do believe that is the only group left. There are a lot of layers. Let's group from the bottom. And if we have to stop again, I'll just make another group and then we'll keep going from there. But yes, obviously Calm is, their mission here is to end suffering and obviously protect human lives. It's a fantastic charity, and I'd recommend checking out the Calm website if you can. Again, this is Campaign Against Living Miserably, which has just come up on our screen here. And there is a humble bundle available for players on Steam PC, where you can get the Vectron that we've been painting through this stream, the Railpool Vectron it is, and you can get loads of other cool routes. You can get Southeastern High Speed Extended, Dresden Riese, Cajon Pass, you can get Antelope Valley, as well as some new locos. The F59 Metrolink PHR, you can get the Class 700, you can get the Railhead Treatment Train, you can get all of that for $15 or less, which is just incredible. And you can choose to donate all of that to charity if you want to. So definitely check out Humble Bundle, and by extension, make sure to support charities like Calm for their incredible mission. Now, if you've been joining along, don't worry. What we're doing right now is we're grabbing everything in our layer stack. So yes, we are clicking 310 times, and I believe this is the best thing to do. Hello, friends. Hello, Madeline Saldas. Madeline's. Welcome to the stream. We've made a very peaceful, happy-looking kind of mountain, forest, waterfall environment that we're going to share in a minute. We're going to jump into some free roam, grab a photo mode screenshot, and then we're going to upload it to Creators Club, and then you can all play with it if you want to. So we're going to select the remaining one of these here. Now, the interesting thing with this livery is, of course, I've not really decorated the front or the back too much, but that does mean there's room for it to be updated in future. You know, we can always come back to this livery. And that's the fun bit. We can always come back. We can add some more bits. We can add some more community fun. And I still can't believe we have a forest kind of forest fox chilling in the trees. think it's very funny. I don't think foxes live in trees. There's no way they can live in the top of trees. Surely they live in burrows. It would be my best guess. Let's see. Okay, we're still almost there. Almost there. We're like 99% way through the list. And again, the reason I'm doing this is just so we have the option to have this on both sides. And again, I remember when I did this with the Toothless livery that I've recently made, or the unbranded dragon livery, that I ended up having to create a bunch of groups. So we've got everything in one master group. And why this is important is because we can duplicate it and then edit this and then change the layer, I believe, and then we can change it to be on this side. And everything is at an angle. Maybe that's okay. Is it just that it needs to be rotated? There we go. It's just that it needed to be rotated. And if you look at that, we've got our entire scene pasted on the other side. But interestingly, it is on the opposite side, and that means it is slightly different. So I'm going to try and align this as best I can to be similar to what it was on the other side. So I think the sand layer is a good indication. Trees, I think that's good. And what that leaves us with is, we can go back. Now you've got, can we take a little orbit around this thing? Yes, what that leaves us with is two sides of the same livery. You got one with the trees at the front, and you got one with the river at the front. And that's an easy way of kind of duplicating it to both sides. And obviously we've got that light blue color. So we're going to save and exit this. And what we're going to do, we've called it the Let's Make a Livery Community Mashup. Let's jump into... Now, I thought we were going to be working on the F59, so I got Cajon Pass installed, and it's the only move I've got installed. But let's jump into Cajon Pass anyway. Let's jump to Barstow. And what I'm going to do here at Barstow is I'm going to spawn it in. I'm going to take a photo using photo mode. It will then be the thumbnail we can use, and we can upload it to Creators Club, and there we go. And then we'll wrap up the stream. I appreciate you all hanging out with me for an hour or so tonight. Okay, we've jumped in at Barstow. I'm gonna. The reason why Cajon Pass was picked is because, again, I was gonna play on the F59 today, but we decided to go to the Vectron. And for those, I know Fab Fan Lab, you were asking about how to spawn liveries. So if I go to the Vectron here and search, so I've just used the tab menu. I can search by Vectron. I can go custom liveries here, and then I can spawn in obviously our lovely Let's Make a Livery one, and I can spawn it with X, and after a moment it should appear in existence. And this is looking really good. Now what I can do is come into photo mode, and this is really the power of photo mode. And I've got it in really good sunlight, but do I really have it in the best position? Well, let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and line up the kind of photo I want. And sometimes with photo mode, actually, sometimes I like playing with depth of field a lot. With field of view, sorry, that's the one I meant. It's the one that moves your screen in. I really am not loving this pole in a way. Maybe I spawn it further away from this random pole. Yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. I am not loving that in the background, but I am loving the sun of Cajon Pass. But I think this is a good opportunity to spawn. Let's go here. Respawn last. Let's try and get it the same angle if we can. Much better. Much better. We're still very much zoomed in. So if we try and line up our camera here. Now we've got field of view, rotation. I don't love playing with rotation. It's not a category I tend to enjoy playing around with much, because I think it kind of messes up. I wouldn't go beyond 45% on either angle, because I think it changes a lot. Obviously, you can have loads of fun. You can have it vertically or horizontally, but I think I'd like to keep mine maybe a slight incline. 49. that works for me. Now, the focal point obviously determines where the blur comes in. I quite like the idea of there being a slight shimmer on the top. So we'll do that. Depth of field. Obviously, we'll bring in that blur and give you the focus where you want it. So I'm just going to keep that. I'm just going to leave that alone so that we can focus on the livery. Vignette, we're going to get an. I never realized you can do an inverse, but we'll add a slight 5%, maybe 10%. Let's touch up the brightness, modify the saturation, only a slight bit. We're really selling the livery here, so we don't want to mess with the settings too much. I won't use a grain, I won't use a CPO. And being honest, I won't really touch up some of these times of day. So I'm going to start with that screenshot. Do I like the look of this? I certainly don't hate it. Let's save and upload. And then I'm also going to just save a version 2. Would this be available only in Scenario Planner? I mean, it should be able to enable AI using this as well. I think when I selected Livery Designer, I did enable the AI to be able to use this. So realistically, no, it should be available in services. Where are we going? We're going to Creators Club, Online Sharing Hub. And I believe I've shared my my class 66 for fun before. Now I can go to my screenshots. I can choose this this main screenshot header, and we can call this the Let's Make a Livery Calm Mashup. Let's make a livery. What do we want to call this? We'll call this the calm scene. And I'll call this, it's a livery, and it is sunny, I suppose. I suppose it's a bit spring. Spring makes some sense. It's a bit of a spring scene. I'll leave it at those two tags. Let's make a livery calm in support of calm. Screenshot, submit. I can accept the rules. I have read all of those in the lightning speed, and it's been uploaded successfully. And there we have it. So if you're interested, you can find that on Creators Club, or the Let's Make a Livery Calm scene. But for the most part, that will do for tonight. I appreciate you all joining me. Let's go back to the solo cam. And again, we chose a Vectron because it's part of the Humble Bundle. So if you're interested in that, be sure to look at it. I will link it in the chat now. You can find it by just going to the Humble Bundle website. But the Root Remix Bundle is the name. Thank you, Southwest Follower. It was made with all of your suggestions, so we all did a really good job. But again, if you're on Steam, that is the Root Remix Bundle you can get. And again, you can get all these fantastic add-ons at different tiers. And you can get a huge discount on all of them. Again, tier 3 for $15 includes everything you see on screen, including 4 routes, Train Sim 5 starter pack, and a whole bunch of cool locos like the F59, like the Vectron, the Class 700, and the Santa Fe F7 II. So loads of cool things, but I won't have on it too long. You'll catch the Dovetail livestream crew again next week. We haven't announced what we're doing just yet, but we'll probably have a post going out on Thursday. So if you're looking forward to some upcoming content, I'm not going to name which routes they are, well then maybe you're in for a bit of a treat, but I'll let you find out at the end of the week. So there will be more streams coming next week, and I've appreciated all of you joining us and joining me tonight. And on that note, have a great evening, everyone, and I'll catch you in a future live stream. Bye-bye.